Hey everybody, James Arnold Taylor here, the voice of Obi-Wan Kenobi, and I'd like to show you a little video I've been working on, which is I'm calling the Ladies of Leia. Now why? Well, because all 5 of these lovely ladies have voiced Princess Leia in one fashion or another, and since Carrie Fisher's birthday is coming up October 21st, we thought it'd be a great time to celebrate Princess Leia and what she means to all of us as Star Wars fans, as well as all of them as actors that have portrayed this wonderful character throughout all the years working in Star Wars. Now, of course, some of these folks are people that I am very close with through my work in Clone Wars and Star Wars, Catherine Tabor and Anna Graves, but there's some other lovely ladies, Misty Lee, Shelby Young, and Julie Dolan, that have provided the voice of Princess Leia throughout all these wonderful things. So now you're going to learn about their lives, how they got the roles, what it all means to them, and what Princess Leia as a character, an icon really, has meant to all of us in the world of Star Wars and the world of Hollywood and the world of story. So sit back, relax, as I talk to the lovely Ladies of Leia. Hello, ladies.
Hello,
Oh my
gentlemen.
goodness. I'm blushing. You know what's funny about this whole thing is this is the first time Obi-Wan Kenobi and Princess Leia have been together. Because
That's
think
true.
about it.
What?
They
That is
actually
true.
never meet.
That's true.
Wow.
I always thought they met, but she doesn't, right? Ben Kenobi, right? And then, right, you know, Anna and I were talking about this. And yet he gets, Darth Vader before they ever. So this is it.
But you are
Wow.
still
Well, hello.
our only
Nice
hope.
to meet you. Yes.
So I should say hello there. Yes. All right. We have Julie Dolan. We have Catherine Tabor. We have Shelby Young.
Hi.
We have Misty Lee. And we have
Hello.
Anna Graves. All of you have one thing in common. The princess. You've all played Princess Leia in one way or another through the years here. And I can go through all of it. So Julie, you've played her on Rebels,
Yes.
on Lego Star Wars The Freemaker Adventures,
Yes.
Star Wars Uprising,
Yes.
Disney Infinity 3.0, Force Awakens. The Force Awakens, Leia, then. Is that right? Is that how it goes? Or how does it? Because you both are in this. There's
Force
some...
Force Awakens, Leia. Yeah.
Yes. The Force Awakens Leia is actually General Organa. So
General Organa, yes.
when they asked me to do that, I said, "You mean current Carrie's voice?" And they
Yeah.
said, I said, "Oh, I don't know. I don't know about that." So they said, "Listen to her current interviews." So I had to, right before I went into the session, I sat in my car
Yeah.
and I pulled up one of her interviews and I sat there and talked along with her and tried to get that, down here and tried to
Yeah.
get that voice and that stuffed nose a little bit because she's congested.
Yeah.
And I went, this ain't in my wheelhouse. But they hired me for a couple of them.
Okay.
And then one particular one that I can't say that they hired me for, I went in and worked with the director and I covered a lot of things. But at the end result, they ended up hiring somebody that had that voice.
Okay.
So I knew that wasn't in my wheelhouse.
All right. I know that feeling, though, too, where sometimes when an actor's voice changes, a little. So,
But my first job was at Disneyland. When you go into the Star Tours ride, they auditioned about 200 girls for that, and they just couldn't find what they wanted.
Yeah.
And they brought Carrie in.
Yeah.
And they said, "Yeah, you just don't have the same sound that you did in A New Hope." They auditioned 200 more girls, and it narrowed down to me and another girl, and I ended up getting the job. And I had to go in twice and do it because they didn't like the placement of the microphone because it didn't make it sound like I was in a hologram or something.
yeah, well, you have to get that right.
Yeah, so that was okay. I'll come in again. That's fine. So that's at Disneyland. When you go on the Star
Yeah.
Tours ride, that will outlive me forever.
Isn't that a trip? Yeah, I've been on a few rides like that. Although some of the ones I was on actually they pulled them out of the park. I'm like, oh, wow, there was a ride.
Well, now that they have the Star Wars land there, I don't know if they're going to.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. So now, Kat, you played her in The Force Unleashed 2,
1 and 2.
1 and 2. Okay, and Detours, which we still haven't seen.
Yes. And then my favorite you would think I knew how to do this, but
Microphone, my dear. Yes, I can kid her because we.
I usually have someone holding it for me.
That's right.
I don't.
That's
I'll do
right.
it. Hold it for you. We'll do it.
I'm kidding. Actually, though, my favorite time that I get to play Leia is in the live stage shows that I do with Kyle Newman for the
Oh, right,
the
for the
Smuggler
radio
series.
shows.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's actually my 100% favorite time to play Leia.
Wow. Okay. And now Shelby.
Yes, hello.
So we've got Forces of Destiny.
Yes.
Which has really taken off and been a fun thing.
It has, and it's been really fun because I've gotten to voice Leia throughout the years. Kind of one episode took place right before A New Hope, and we had some post
Right.
Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
So kind of got a little taste of all different
everything.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow. Now, Misty, Battlefront,
Mm-hmm.
Battlefront 2.
I got to play her in mocap.
You did.
I did.
So
I got to
those
run
are
around
your
and see her. And
movements.
She gave
I
Leia a
didn't
nice
know that.
butt.
yeah, a lot of people. I've gotten a lot of emoji peaches saying, "Oh, Leia's thick, THICC," and I was like, "That's me. That wasn't Carrie. That's my butt you're looking at."
Oh, wow. And who placed the dots? That's what I want. No, wait. I'm sorry.
I don't know.
Okay.
They stick them to you. You know that.
And Anna,
Yes.
the Disney Infinity, you were Princess Leia.
I was. So if you buy the Luke and Leia set, I'm the Leia in the Disney
Which is, I
Infinity.
think, one of the coolest looking Princess Leias. The
I
animation.
love her.
Yeah.
When I
Really,
saw her
right?
design, I was so over the moon about it. But originally, Dara from Lucasfilm had hired me to do a pinball app. So I think you can hear me as Princess Leia in this pinball app. And then after that, I worked on the Battle Pod, which is the Star Wars
right.
Battle Pod, which is an arcade game, which was so much fun to do. But it was funny because it was sort of explained to me as Leia-esque. Not necessarily Leia, but Leia-esque.
Yeah.
But if you play on the Endor level, then you hear me, and it's Leia on a speeder. It's what
Wow.
it is. Let's just be honest. Let's just call it that. And then I got to do Disney Infinity.
Infinity. So, okay. So now the really cool, rare thing about voice actors is how we all pretty much get along, I think. You know? It's a very different world than on camera. But how did this come about where all of you would be like okay with hanging out, getting to know each other, and not being like, because sometimes voiceover can even be a little competitive.
You know what? Can I just
think?
start talking about that? Because social media,
Yep.
you know, love it, was exactly where I got to know you individually, and for different reasons too. I mean, I was already following Misty, and I love your work. And then
Because we met at LA Studios.
yes, so we met at Technicolor.
That's right. That's
We
right.
met at Technicolor, and I was like, "Oh, you're Misty Lee. You do Leia. I did Leia in a different game too." And she was the sweetest lady ever. So we started following each other, and then of course I saw Rebels, and I was like, "Oh, Rebels, that's cool. I didn't get to audition for Leia for that." like that was my initial reaction, right?
sure.
So I watched it, and I was like, "That's cool. She's good. She's really good." So then I started following Julie. I was like, "Julie, hey, good job. Congratulations again." And I already knew Kat from years of doing Star Wars,
old
The
friends.
Clone Wars. We're old
Yeah.
friends, so I love her. And then Shelby, I watched Forces of Destiny, and the same thing happened. I literally just went on Twitter and was like, "Congratulations on the gig. You sound great." So
Nice. And then I reached out to Misty
After
when I saw
Battlefront.
Battlefront coming out. And I basically was just like, from one Leia to another, like, this looks amazing. And she worked with one of my favorite directors, Tom Keegan.
Okay.
So we connected through that. And then you were the one, though, that sent the original like group chat idea of why don't
she
we
said,
meet
"Let's
up?
have lunch. We know
Yeah.
a lot of each other. Let's have lunch." And we all said yes.
And I remember Anna being aware of you is because after Rebels came out or Freemaker or something, somebody said to me, "Oh, you did a great job on Disney Infinity." And I went, and I went and looked at, and I said, did I do that? I don't remember doing that. So I went and listened to it, and I went, that is not me. I looked it up, so it was you. And so I said, well, thank you, but that's not me. And then I attached
yeah,
your
you
name
wrote
to
me.
it. That's
and you
how
even said, "Hey, by the way, I told them that was you."
Yeah, I
And
gave you a
was like,
high.
"Oh, thanks."
I gave you a plug, right? And then I met you because I was doing my very first convention.
Okay.
I had no idea what to expect.
Really?
So I called Kat. I'm like, "Help!" She gave me the rundown of everything to expect, everything to do.
Wow.
Which ones to take, which ones not to take.
Yeah.
And
And how'd you do? Did you like it?
yeah,
Yes,
I love
it
them. I
was
love meeting
great.
the fans. I love meeting the fans.
Well,
they're
yeah,
great.
meeting the fans is fantastic. Cons can be their own thing. Anna and I just came from one
Just
where we actually
experienced it. It
married
was-
some people.
We watched.
I loved that.
but
It was great.
the experience of a con can be overwhelming.
Yeah.
It
really
is.
can. Yeah.
It's tiring,
It is.
but it's
People don't understand that actually being on for 6-8 hours, hi, how are you? Performing, giving that, it does take a lot of energy. I don't mean it like, oh, yeah, such a hard.
No, but can I say I do get sleepy being a mom, like doing everything that moms do in the afternoon. I feel like I need to take a nap. And while those 3 days that you and I were at the
Yeah.
convention, I didn't get sleepy. So that says something about being on all the time and being present. So thank you, everyone that I met.
This is really weird, but it kind of puts things in perspective. I worked on Anita Baker's teeth because my previous life was in dentistry. And we were talking about I know.
Wait, what?
I know.
So okay, in
let
dentistry,
me get to what I was
Anita
going to say.
Baker.
I know, still leaping. But she said to me once that it is exhausting being her. And that's the exact same thing because people come up and they hug her all the time. And I said, gosh, that would be so nice. Because I'm certainly not famous like Anita Baker,
Right.
But going down that same thing, she said, it's wonderful. It's beautiful. And every single person that hugs you thinks they're giving you something, but they're actually taking something away.
Yeah.
And she said, and at the end of the day, when you've given people hugs because they're a fan, they love you and they're giving you all their love, but they're also you're giving a piece of yourself.
Energy.
And she said, yes. And she
a
said,
really
I
good way
am
of looking at it.
weary at the end of the day because I am so lucky. And she said it's just a responsibility that she has as a celebrity. So
It really
all I'm
is.
saying is it don't happen to me because y'all are way more famous than I am, but I get it. I get it.
No, and
Because
it's
teeth.
it's definitely true though, because like if you see people who don't really interact with the fans and they're just signing and this, it's different. And then the people who really care and want each person that's there to have an experience and it to mean something, you really want to be there for them, even if you're tired and
Well, that's what the voice actors have brought to Star Wars specifically, is this ability for fans to connect in a way that they never could before. And that's what things like the 501st and all of these clubs that they had did. But now all of us are so kind of open and willing to meet people and talk to them. It's just turned it into a whole new adventure for them. And
Especially
I think it's wonderful.
social media.
Yeah, social media is
Great way
I
to
feel
connect.
like they're in a way they're our bosses. They're the people who buy the stuff. They're where the money really comes from. Don't get me wrong. We work for studios. We work for supervisors. We work for directors. We work for sponsors. And I'm not going to sugarcoat or lie about any of that. But at the end of the day, the people who decide to buy those products are the fans.
Yeah.
And so they're the ones that actually hold the reins. And a friend of mine once said, if you are disrespectful to your fans, you're going to lose your job eventually because word gets around and it shows a lack of gratitude. I think it's our responsibility to be connected and excited and grateful.
Especially in
Grateful.
Star Wars because it's such a family.
Totally.
I was accepted into this family, the galaxy, and I was blown away by all the friends and family I had.
Yeah.
Yep.
You
Immediately,
get it.
completely.
Immediately get it.
I think that's one of the things I said to you on the phone that first time, though. I was like, well, your life's about to change.
You said that to me too when I met you at Wonder Woman.
Yes, we met because I play
Padme.
I play Padme.
On
And
Forces
we
of Destiny.
on Forces of Destiny.
That's right. So you work together. Yeah.
We just met and immediately
bonded.
Yes. So she's a great daughter.
That's weird, isn't it?
I know.
Okay. But so you all grew up with Princess Leia. We all grew up with Star Wars. How did it feel the first time you got to voice a character so iconic?
Well, of course I saw the movie in 1977.
Yeah.
But I have to be honest, I was not a Star Wars fan. Not that I didn't like it.
It's okay.
Kick her out.
All right, I'm out of here.
Hold on, give her a chance.
It's not that I didn't like Star Wars. I didn't follow it like everybody
Right,
did.
sure.
So when my agent called me and said, "Can you sound like Princess Leia?" I said, "No, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe." And they sent me the Obi-Wan Kenobi speech
Yes.
from A New Hope.
Yes.
And I worked on it and practiced it and practiced it. Okay, this is it. Sent it in. And they said, "Yeah, you're coming in."
Yeah.
Holy crap. So I watched, when I booked the job,
Yeah. Then you watched it.
I watched all 6 movies. My husband and I were in Hawaii on vacation, and all I did was watch the 6 movies. There were only 6 at the time, over and over
my
and
God.
over and
And was
over
he a
again.
Star Wars fan before? Or was he like, really? We're going to watch
Oh, he was on the
Star-"
beach.
He was on. So he
He
just
was
like,
scuba
forget it.
diving.
Yeah.
He's like, do what you want to do.
Die hard.
Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi, whatever. I'm going.
I had to do a lot of updating and studying and
That's okay.
Wikipedia.
You know, I think that sometimes that helps because then you actually take it in a fresh way.
Yeah, and plus, if you're playing a character, you have to know who she is and what she wants and who her parents are. It's just like playing a character. You dive into what their goals are. And
Yeah.
so I learned so much, and now I'm a fan.
Okay.
So,
good.
yes.
Well,
yay.
I know that Kat is a fan. So we worked on Clone Wars together for many years, and she was usually the one that could correct information that was wrong. Sam Witwer, I think, beat her out
Sam
finally,
beat me
but
out,
yes, but so your experience with Princess Leia very different than your experience with Padme.
Yeah, and actually, speaking of Dara, shout out to Dara
I
O'Farrell.
love
Hi,
Dara.
Dara.
So Dara gave me my first job, which was on a Star Wars video game called Knights of the Old Republic. And
you played on
I played
that.
Mission Veo.
Mission Veo, right? Yeah.
And so when they were doing the Force Unleashed video games, they were auditioning people, and he didn't have me audition because he knew me as Mission, which is a really different character.
Right.
And then finally, my agent was like, "Okay, Dara said you can read." So I came into the booth, and I had my hair in the buns because I'm that big of a dork. And then I ended up getting it. And she's young in The Force Unleashed. So, because I think you sound-wise, the most like Carrie Fisher. Just your natural speaking voice.
Yeah.
But what I was able to do, because I'm such a fan, was talk like Princess Leia with the inflections
incorporated
and stuff.
the acting beats
Yes,
of her.
because
the
I knew
character.
it really, really well.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, when you are playing any of these characters, and especially Princess Leia, it's a big responsibility and a big honor. And I think we all take it seriously.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yes. For me, Star Wars came into my life because I was actually shooting a video game in 2011, and someone on set, I forget who, found out that I'd never seen Star Wars. I know, it was really bad. My brother was trying to get me into it for so long. He was a huge Star Wars fan, 501st, all of that. But I don't know why, I just never sat down and watched them.
Were you a sci-fi fan or just not a sci-fi fan?
More fantasy, I guess.
Okay.
Like Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter was kind of my jam.
Yeah.
But then, so they started calling me Princess on set, and they wouldn't call me Shelby, and it was driving me insane. They'd be like, "All right, Princess, we're ready for you." Like, guys, please. They're like, "Okay, we have a break. Watch at least one Star Wars film, and then we'll call you Shelby." So, of course, when I watch A New Hope, I'm hooked. And then
Yeah.
I watch all 6 of them because, again, it was only 6 at the time. And so when I booked this role for Forces of Destiny, I freaked. I cried. I was told I couldn't tell anyone, but I definitely called my mom. I was like,
you can do that.
"Mom,
That's
you don't
always allowed."
understand." But yeah, it was a dream come true. Very nervous when I first stepped into the booth, but everybody was so nice that my
Who
nerves
was
were gone.
directing you on that?
It was Dave Filoni.
It was Dave.
Yeah, I actually still have not met him in person. He was directing
He was just from somewhere. Okay, Shelby. Okay.
through the screen. He was my Wizard of Oz experience.
Wow.
Yeah.
Aw, Dave,
Yeah.
you need to meet Shelby in person.
This is true.
Because you guys are both good people.
Yeah.
You would have fun.
But that's wild. Okay,
was-
so now,
yeah.
Misty, you had seen Star Wars, I'm guessing. Yes?
I had, yeah. I remember watching it when I was really, really wee with straw papers in my ears, crying because I thought it was too loud.
Now, because now it's fair to say who you're married to. Yes,
Of course, I don't lie about it. It's not a secret.
Paul Dini, just a fantastic writer, and
Creator of the Ewoks show.
yeah.
But,
so,
I mean, you know,
I was going to say, so
the cartoon show.
naturally,
Really?
there's some Star Wars kind of happening at home. Then there.
Oh
right?
yeah,
So,
he's a total nerd.
Yeah.
I mean, he's over at well, I can't tell you where he is right now.
Okay,
but,
no. But
yeah.
So what was then the experience of like, okay, now I'm going to play Princess Leia? Is
Well, for me, I was just like, when the audition came in for Battlefront, it was like 40 voice match lines long. And they even had like the Bosk one, you know, that one. I was
Yeah.
like, what is that doing in here? That's processed.
Yeah.
But I started doing the audition and I was just like, this is so long and voice matches are so hard. And so I turned in half of it to my agency and I was like, if they'll hear what they need. And they wrote me back and said, finish this. They said, this is close. Finish this. And I was like, no. So I finished it. They said, just do it. And then I booked it. And it was like, oh, whoops. So I was okay until I got to the session.
Yeah.
And the line, good luck and may the force be with you, came up on the screen.
Uh-huh.
And I saw her in her Hoth gear and I went, now, we've been doing this for an hour and a half. This
Yeah.
is stupid. Like, what are we doing now? We're already at the job. Calm it. You know, and I mean, you've been doing it and they've been fine. What is wrong with you? And I was like, and then I started to panic and I said, guys, I'm going to need a minute. And you know how when you're in a video game, the directors are in your ears, you know, like they were calling, one was calling from Sweden, one was from San Francisco. And so I had a director in this year. And I said, guys, I'm going to need a minute. And the director turned on his mic so he could be heard. And I heard, Daddy, I gotta go poop. And he said, I also am going to need a minute. And I was like, I'm good. Because all of a sudden it was what I was doing today.
Yeah.
And it was iconic. It was a privilege. I was super grateful. But I was doing my job. And so it was like the universe gave me this wonderful moment of calm yourself. This is
Oh,
all
that's-
good.
Like
Just
that
enjoy
little
Like
it.
they're all real people, and
Yeah,
everybody's got
totally.
kids that poop. And
Yeah,
Do you
and we
remember
have a
that?
lot of connection with Carrie as well because
Oh,
Harley
yeah.
Quinn, my husband created a character named Harley Quinn, is based off of Arlene Sorkin, who's an actress who a
Yes.
lot of people may know and who originally did her voice.
Yep.
And Arlene and Carrie were very good friends.
Yeah.
So I know a lot of stories about Carrie I shouldn't know, and so both good and bad and
Sure.
wonderful and, crass things that she said. And I own some of the things when they auctioned off of her stuff, after she passed away.
yeah.
I bought no Star Wars stuff. I bought weird stuff from her house. Like there's this duck that is taxidermy duck head dressed in Victorian clothing with sheet music under a bell jar glass. Why did she own that? I don't care.
Why not?
Of
I
course.
know it was on her piano and now it's in my house.
Wow.
Stuff like that.
Really cool.
So yeah, so weird.
That's interesting. And Anna, of course, I'll get to you on this too, but I will interject here. I interviewed Carrie many times on stage at Star Wars Celebration, and I think I'm the only person that can say I've been spanked by Carrie Fisher on stage.
Lucky
Well, on
man.
stage, maybe. I'm
In
sure a
front of-
lot of people have
in
been
front of
spanked by Carrie
most
Fisher.
people. It's been done, but no, in front of about 3,000 people, I was spanked. And then the last time I interviewed her, she grabbed me and we did like a fake makeout and rolled
Yeah.
around on the ground
Yeah.
while her dog was licking my head.
Yeah, so you got to meet Gary.
Yeah, oh
that
yeah,
makes me
I know.
so jealous.
Me
I
too.
love Gary.
I've had many a moment with Gary. He's a wonderful little dog, and he was always at every interview. He was always sitting on the couch there with her.
I
He was
love that
telling
she would
me-
often defer to him.
Oh, yeah.
What do you think?
So
Right.
she just was. She was wonderful, and I did a movie with Arlene years ago, and they're both just really fun. So I could see the two of them as friends.
Salty broads.
Yes.
Both of them.
Salty. Yes.
Tough.
So now Anna,
Yeah.
how does this come to you then? You like,
Aw, I feel like my affinity for Star Wars is so similar to so many others. Growing up, I was born in '78. Star Wars was in the air. And we used to just watch the VHS movies over and over again. And it was my favorite when my family, we would have these like nighttime sessions where we'd put the first movie in and then I would talk my parents into the second movie. And I was like, well, we have to watch Return of the Jedi now. That's how it works.
Yeah.
But as far as like Leia and Luke and Han, like, of course I was in love with Han and I wanted to be princess, but I wanted to be Leia. But I think my love of it actually was from the puppetry. I always loved Yoda. He was my favorite. I was a huge Jim Henson fan growing up. And I liked dark Jim Henson as well. I liked the Dark Crystal, Labyrinth. I watched The Storyteller, which was if you've never seen the TV series, The Storyteller, it was brilliant. It was, I think it was only 10 episodes. And I've watched them so many times. So that really, and still to this day as an adult, like that is where I latched onto that. Right. Now, when I got cast in the series, it kind of felt like a dream come true, an unrealized dream.
Yeah.
It was something that I had never sought and was like, I'm going to be in a Star Wars project. But once I was in a Star Wars project, it was unreal. It was amazing.
well, it's because you were working with me.
And that's what it was. It was James Arnold Taylor. And he said, wait,
really
you're
what it
going to be
No, but it was like,
opposite
this
James
is
Arnold Taylor?
unreal. No,
I was so excited. And when I heard your Obi-Wan, oh my goodness.
Oh,
It was
you're very sweet.
No, it was like the real thing.
Oh, come on. Well, we had a fun time on Clone Wars, and now, of course, it's coming back, and that's a whole other show.
Exciting. Congrats.
But with that in mind, there's a lot of Star Wars out there now. How important is the character of Princess Leia now to young ladies and to the franchise of Star Wars? Anybody?
I think still incredibly important. She was one of the original princess characters, I think, that showed you didn't have to be a damsel in distress. You didn't need a man to save you. Oftentimes you're smarter than the men involved in the story. And I think even with Rey and Rose, and there are so many other strong female characters in the franchise now, which is amazing. But it all just boils back down to like Leia was there
She was
first.
the first one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in addition to that, in our current political climate and everything else, without going one way or the other, the one thing we all need to see right now is hope.
Yeah.
And that's the one word that follows her through the entire legacy.
Yep.
And she is the personal embodiment of you got this and it's going to be okay. And if it isn't okay, we're going to fight until
You
it
give me
is.
chills.
And it's, at least that's my take on her. She really brings hope.
Yeah.
As for whatever you're fighting for, just keep going and trust it will work out.
Yeah, I think just anyone who's ever been underestimated. she was just
She's kind of the
poster child for
poster
that.
child for being underestimated.
Yeah.
That's very true. Because
And-
when we first hear about her in the movie, we think,
yeah.
and the first thing she's saying is, "Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi."
Right.
And then you
Right.
hear her say, "Into the garbage chute, fly boy."
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
And when she then gives her presentation, General Kenobi, and she's like, "Oh, okay, well now she knows what she's doing."
yeah.
And every room she walks into, even though she's like this tall, she suddenly
Takes up the
commands
room. Yeah.
all of it.
And the way Han treats her,
Yeah.
she could immediately cower but she stands right up to him and gives it right back to him.
Yeah, especially in Empire, we see that.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, right. There's that great kind of thing going on. Well, okay, so this is a silly question. Favorite Princess Leia outfit?
Ooh.
Because so iconic in the white with the cinnamon buns, but
I'm hot gear.
I like
I'm hot
your
gear all the way.
outfit, Anna. In is it Battlefront or
No, Battlefront. Oh, for Disney Infinity.
no? Wait, what did you wear?
So in the game, white.
You had
with
the classic.
Silver and the buns.
But yes.
Didn't you wear that too, Misty, in Battlefront? Isn't it the white outfit?
She's in Hoth gear.
Which I really like Hoth.
I do too.
Yeah,
With the
well,
braid
it's
along the
white.
back.
Yeah.
yeah,
That's one I
The
like.
Hoth
Yeah.
gear is great too because, like you were mentioning, Han and her's relationship in Empire. I mean, the tension is palpable, and you want them to end up together so much, and they keep trying to leave each other, but then they're like magnets.
Yeah.
So when she's wearing that outfit, I feel similarly.
Also, that's where her guns are.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
that's
know,
true.
I mean, I like her with a gun.
Yeah.
I just do.
Yeah.
I like a princess with a gun.
I
Who
think-
knows how to use it?
I think the Hoth outfit also translates the most to like just everyday wear. Like, you know, you could do the boots and the vest. And I see that outfit and I'm like, I want that outfit.
Yeah.
I want to like wear that
You would
outfit
look
in the
amazing
fall.
in that outfit.
Thank you.
But
Oh, yeah.
the speeder outfit in Return of the Jedi, where with the kind of the
Green.
The Ewok one.
That's a pretty good
That's
one
pretty
too.
too.
That's kind of
love the
similar.
Ewok
She's got
dress
the
as
really
well.
long hair
Yeah,
with
the
the
Ewok
braids
dress.
hanging down.
Yeah.
We had an episode explaining how she got the dress from the Ewoks.
Oh yeah.
And you played the other princess in that one too.
Yes, I was also Nisa, Princess
Yeah,
Nisa the
girl.
Ewok in that
Oh
one.
my
Yeah.
goodness. That is very cool. Now, what does it take to be an Ewok?
A lot of copying what D. Bradley Baker does and trying to do as well as he does, but failing.
That's what most people in voice acting do, is try to
Yes.
copy D.
Try to
Bradley
copy
Baker.
her.
And,
Man, he's a
It's all
powerhouse.
just trying to be like D.
Yep.
Did any of you ever meet Carrie Fisher?
No, but she crashed Paul's bachelor party.
Oh, she did?
She crashed my husband's bachelor party, yeah. And he didn't know. And Mark Hamill is a good friend of his, so Mark
Yeah.
was there. And Carrie was at the place where they were having it, and she was in the bathroom, and the girls were getting ready. They had burlesque dancers, and the burlesque dancers were getting ready to come in, and they were washing their hands, and one was so nervous because Luke Skywalker was in the room, and Carrie just happened to be in the bathroom and said, "I'm sorry, what?" And they said, "Oh, Luke Skywalker." And so Carrie, Beverly D'Angelo, and Tracy Ullman, I think it was Tracy Ullman, was the third one. And Carrie said, "Can I be the first dancer?" And they said, the girls were like, yeah,
Yeah.
you're Princess frickin' Leia. And so the guy that was with him came in, started the music, and Carrie came in and did some like weird hoochie coochie dance in her full clothes. And Mark was like, "Carrie?" And she was like, "Mark." And Paul was like, "No, Harrison?" So it was really funny.
Is this
Yeah, so-
on? Is this on? It would have been
YouTube?
videotape, probably, right?
Nothing. I think there may be some photographs, but they were so stunned because Paul was like, "Who is this middle-aged woman that? Oh my God, it's Carrie Fisher!" You know, like, it was really funny.
Oh, man.
But you guys met her, right?
Yeah, we.
I mean, you met her several times. You
Yeah.
spanked by
You
her.
got spanked
I
by
got,
her.
I've got,
And
yeah.
made
Made
out
out
with
with
her.
her.
Kat, did she spank you?
No, we had James and I were down in San Diego at Legoland when they were opening up a new Star Wars exhibition.
Yep.
Nice.
And we were there, and Carrie was also there, so it was really fun. But we weren't in the same area at the beginning, just because
Yeah.
we had been ushered in by different people.
And I think the two of us were kind of also like, this is Star Wars royalty. We're the new kids. How much do you kind of, but now knowing how approachable she was, it's like we could have been a lot more.
But my favorite moment too was when they were introducing us over the loudspeaker, and they're doing this whole ceremony.
Yeah.
And they introduced me, and I was there representing Padme, and she just yells, "That's my mother!"
yeah, she.
So it really doesn't get any better than that.
Yeah.
I wish I would have known how approachable she was, because before she passed away, she was doing a book tour for Princess Diary, Princess Bride,
The Princess Diarist.
right.
Diarist, yes.
And
is what it
so
was.
I got a copy of it, and she was down in Santa Monica signing, and somebody said, "You should go."
Yeah.
The last thing I wanted to do is walk up to her and say, "Oh, I play your voice." I just felt I was on the wrong side of the table. I thought I wanted to meet her at a convention so I could at least be her peer. So I didn't go. And then that December. So I kicked myself for that.
I feel like she would have loved you.
Yeah.
From what I've heard. I think she would have been like, "Oh yeah, let me hear it."
Because I do remember hearing stories of when you were talking about like Star Tours, that when they brought her in to try to do it, that she had a real good sense of humor about it. Like,
totally.
I don't sound like that anymore. You know, like, so I think she would have actually got a kick out of the fact that it's like, oh, you sound like I sounded, you know? So, but yeah, you know, it's one of those things too, where you want to respect these folks.
Definitely. Definitely.
So what do you each bring to Princess Leia, do you think, that makes it kind of your own spin on it? Is there something where you kind of, how do you do it? Do you picture her?
Do you want to start down with Anna this time?
Sure. So for me, specifically for Disney Infinity, I wanted to tap into her spunky spirit and her fire, but without being too harsh, and make it so that when the player is playing as her character, they're really having fun.
Yeah.
So, you know, I would have my go-to lines that I would kind of say in your head or mumble over and over again, or, you know, I would say, hold on a second, I want to listen to her. Like especially if you're doing voice matching, you want to be, you know, pretty spot on with the characters. So I listened to. And then we would joke and say, do you want A New Hope Leia, or do you want Empire Strikes Back Leia? Like, which Leia? They're a little different,
One's
right?
a little more British.
Yeah. And then
weird.
A little bit more British, exactly, which makes sense for the time and where they were shooting.
Well, also the fact that she had just come back from
Studying.
acting school
Yeah.
in the UK.
No,
So
She always makes fun of it. She always made fun of that accent. You know?
Yeah, but she had just come back from the UK and was thinking that was fancy. It was like one of her
It was a
big
continental accent. She was, you know, using
Mid-Atlantic.
Mid-Atlantic. Thank you. And that's kind of my go-to accent too when I do radio theater stuff and the old throwback stuff. Well, fancy seeing you here. You know, it's just sort of a very proper way to talk, that Mid-Atlantic. But he, you know, General Tarkin. You know, I should have recognized your foul stench the moment I walked on board. You know, it was very, you know, but biting. And I really enjoyed finding that spunkiness. Yes, yeah, that bite.
Mm-hmm. And she's pretty tough.
She's
throughout
gritty
in Battlefront.
Totally gritty.
Like,
she's getting it done. She's shooting people. And occasionally she'll make fun of somebody that she sees. Yeah. And she's like, Bosk, really? You know, it's like that kind of stuff, you know. So she was very gritty, and that's what I really liked about her and gravitated toward in Battlefront, is because I have that salt and that grit.
You do.
And it's like, oh, okay, so she's just me shouting on the field right
Naturally,
now. That's got that.
Your voice, so like, you know, I do a lot of voice doubling, and the people always ask me, what's the toughest ones to do? And I always say the ones that are the closest to my regular voice.
Yep. Yeah.
And your voice is so naturally close to that. Is the kind of Empire Strikes Back Leia, that tough kind of thing. Did you find it hard to find that balance between you and her, or do you just kind of naturally go for it?
We had reference lines, and so I brought the audition with me and gave it to the sound tech. And I said, can you please load this in as reference? I just emailed it to them and they brought it in. Yeah. And I think that we've all, I think, done voice match. And so you know that sometimes there are trigger phrases that will get you into it, and you can repeat 2 or 3 of those phrases. So one of those was, at least the information in R2 is still intact. That was one of them that really got me there. You know,
That's
like, it's great. Like, because she's got a bunch of vowels in there, and it's, you know, and it gets awful close. So when we all felt, I could feel it getting off, because I'm so Midwestern. And when I get tired and I've been shouting, it just kind of goes right out my nose, and she is not there, you know? So for me to take my regular voice and go to Carrie, it's just a little more at the front of my mouth and a little bit of Mae West. And it gets there. It gets pretty close. And so it's staying in it, I think. And so when I could feel that it goes in a different place, she falls back, and I go, oh, that's not Carrie anymore. Could you play it?
Yeah.
And at least the information in R2 is still intact. There we are. There it is again.
You know, for the yelling line, I would always say, Han, and hurry. Han, right? Yeah. Hurry.
Han,
and
hurry. That's mine.
You use that.
Time.
And then, of course, when they're on the ship, the breathy one, right? The, you certainly do have your moments. Not many of them, but you do have
Mine's
them.
always the Governor Talkin'.
I would expect to find you holding Vader's leash. Yeah.
Or General Kenobi. Years ago, you served my father in the club. I would start there, and that's what would get me into
There
it.
definitely are trigger lines.
Yeah, trigger lines for sure.
Yeah, for me, it was just, and what I think I do with most characters is I want to make them or put as much of myself in them as I can so that they feel real and natural.
Yeah.
Even crazy cartoon characters. I'm like, I still want to ground this somewhere so that it doesn't feel like this weird performance that isn't inside of me.
Right.
So I definitely listened over and over and over and over again to clips and interviews and everything I could get my hands on to really stay true to her voice. But I just wanted to put, I don't know, some little spark of myself in there because I felt like and that was what was so great about Princess Leia. I thought when I watched those movies was I felt like I could relate to her. I felt like the Star Wars world itself was somehow relatable, even though it's this crazy sci-fi adventure. But yeah, so I could see like, I was trying to like see myself in her and put that in there.
Well, and you're working with Dave Filoni, who was always very much, and Kat, you can certainly, and Anna as well, you know, like when we worked on Clone Wars, it was never about matching somebody.
Right.
It was just embody this character. So just be
That's
that
what he
character.
said to me. Stop trying to sound like Princess Leia. You already sound like her. Let's
Just,
okay.
yeah.
Rather than focus on the acting and what I'm saying and relating to so when we did Rebels, everybody was in the room. So it was like
it was
doing
always
a radio
in the round,
play.
right? Yeah.
So he said, you don't need to sound like her. You are her. This is your character. Oh, I get it. Got it.
Yeah.
Well, I had the luxury of a couple things. One, when I played her in Detours, it's very comical and she's very young. So I kind of got to take the Princess Leia personality, blow it up, and also be really young. So that was perfect because I probably sound the least like her just at face value. But like I said, what I was able to do in The Force Unleashed was I really knew how to act like her because I knew those movies and I knew the character.
Right.
So even though she was younger, I got to really be her. And the way that I always look at her is that having played Padme and knowing so much of the Padme and Anakin, Darth Vader story, that Princess Leia is the combination of the two.
Right.
She has the ability to have decorum and be very royal when she needs to be, but she also can be completely the opposite when she needs to be. And so just thinking of those two characters and putting it in there, but just always, and I think that Carrie Fisher had this herself, just that inner sense of superiority in a good way.
Right.
Like nobody was going to push her around. It didn't matter what the environment, it didn't matter who you were not going to push her around. And I think that's why we all loved not just the character, but the actress so much. And the last time I played her, which was at the live show at Star Wars Celebration, was not very long after she had passed.
Yeah.
And that was the first time that I felt just the tremendous weight of wanting to just be that character and do it justice and walk on the stage and feel like her.
So that's, working on Rebels and such with Dave, it's that. But then when you get into the room to do with other directors, do you get in your head more or different or want to match?
I do picture her. I picture what she would do physically, and I kind of embody her physicalness. Right. I remember when I was doing Rebels, one of the actors said that he peeked in and I looked like her from the side, and I was moving like her. So I think I try to get into the character physically, and plus with A New Hope, that horrible English accent, that was the first thing that I had to learn to do. And they actually hired a dialect coach, for Star Tours, because they wanted somebody to guide me emotionally. Accent-wise, being able to pronounce the words right. I kept saying Rebel Aliens instead of Rebel Alliance because I was so unfamiliar with the term Rebel Alliance. I kept saying Rebel Aliens. I could have shot myself in the head.
You can feel the Star Wars universe
I know.
quaking.
I had trouble saying
know.
AT-AT.
Great disturbance in the Force.
Yeah, indeed. And I have a question for you. I had
Yeah.
a trouble with AT-AT. I have a question for all of you. When I was working on her movement, you were just talking about movement, and when I was looking at her movement for the motion capture, because there is a very specific way she moves as Princess Leia. Her hands are down to her sides, and it's almost like she has energy orbs, and she turns, and it's like she's in water almost. And one of the things I noticed, and I asked Tom Keegan, the director of Battlefront, about this. I said, a lot of times when she's in a scene close with someone, she tips her head to the side.
Yes.
Almost always. And I said, do you think the reason for that was practical and that she couldn't hear and she had to pull a bun away from her ear?
Huh.
And he said, I don't know, but always think that because that's really, really funny.
That is what it was.
And that's what I thought.
Yeah.
And she died before I could ask her.
She wrote about it in, I
she
think
did.
it was
Did write
Princess
about that.
Diarist.
Yeah.
I think it was
She
the most
did.
recent book because I read that right before she passed also.
Yes.
And yeah, it was she
You
couldn't
got
hear.
it right.
Question
Couldn't hear.
answered. Wow. And I wondered if this was a character choice or a physical affectation because she's trying to hear what you're saying.
I'm almost positive that's where it was.
yeah, I
but
read that
read
too. I think you're
Okay.
right. In
But
the, in that book.
it seems so I've never thought about that because it seems so natural with her because also Harrison Ford was so tall. She never, you know how when you're, and I could say this because I'm 5'2", I'm always feel like I'm trying to be a little bit taller than I am so
Me
that
too.
just so people don't have to come down here. She didn't, care. She was just like this. She would be in it and she would look up at him, do that side look, and it didn't matter. She wasn't trying to come up to where he was. She was like, no, you come down here.
But
And
see,
that was how I always took it.
I feel like I always feel like her jaw and the placement of her head very much always was like, oh yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. So like
Give her a little edge.
The head tilt, everything there too was always like, really? Are you going to come at me because
I'm ready for it.
Come at me, bro.
I
love it.
You had talked about making Leia funny in Detours.
Yes.
And when I did Freemaker Adventures, the first thing they said to me is, Leia gets to be funny. And I was like, oh, okay, great. And I had a hard time with it. I had a hard time. Some of the, even one of the
When was
lines
Leia not funny though? Leia was
always
always funny.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, but this was
She's
more
sassy, yeah.
animation funny, kid funny, as
Gotcha.
opposed to clever funny. And they had me do the line, you're my only hope. And of course I did it like, you're my only hope. And they went, no, just throw it away. Just like it doesn't, like it's not that line. Oh, come on, you're my only hope. Yeah, that's it. I was like, oh, that feels so
that's
weird.
wrong.
It's wrong. But it worked out.
That's so funny.
Wow, it is magic though when I hear all of you because again, I'm a fan of voice. Obviously, this is I've been a voice actor my whole life. It's all I've ever wanted to do. Most actors kind of come into voice acting from one way or another. At 4, I wanted to be a voice actor.
Wow.
And so I love voice doubling. So as I hear all of you talking, it is really such a trip because you all have all these elements that come into play and you'll say a line and I'll go like, I still get the chills. It's still good, So
I do too when I hear them all.
Yeah, it's
I'm like,
really
oh my
fun.
gosh.
I think that's what's so interesting about this group, and we have such a good time together when we're not even doing interviews. We have a really good time together.
Yeah, I want to talk about that too, but go ahead.
But
yeah.
because I think that the character of Princess Leia was so deep and so iconic that it really does have all these elements, and that definitely like just being around these women, like we each embody something about her that's not exactly the same, but it's there.
And it's interesting that there are several women that have played the part now. And I do think like you could have a tour. You could go on tour. The Leia tour.
We like your
Leia's
style.
That's right.
Leia's live.
So, if like StarWars.com, and all that, come on, guys. If we get the Leia tour and you get all of them, because you're empowering young ladies too, and you're showing them all the different aspects of this one character, but you're also showing all of you are so very different and yet the same. Isn't that?
We're different and united.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
She's
and then
you're really good with the like whatever it would be called, the like
Catchphrase.
Yeah.
quick catchphrases. United was a choice for us. You had asked earlier how this came to be, and Shelby reached out in kindness. We had all kind of knew who each other were, and as you said earlier, competition is a normal part of being good at your job.
Right.
So you're kind of like, oh well, who's this chick? Who does it for DCV? I want to know who voice matches her. Man, she's good. And crap, Julie looks really nice. I can't destroy her after all. It's like, she's really good and drag. And so instead it's like, well, what would Leia actually do? Well, what if we just got on the same team instead? And so I wasn't sure. Like when we first talked about lunch, I was like, I don't know how this is going to be. Someone may choose to not come. This may not be their jam, but every single one of us was both feet in.
Yeah.
And that is really rare and unusual, except in voice acting.
Yeah.
Because no one of these jobs is going to make us famous. And so we can make the choice. It's not like on camera where all of a sudden you book a pilot and your face is in 30 million homes on Thursday.
Yeah.
And so and I'm not even saying on camera is awful because I don't have that much experience in it.
It's just a different world.
It's a different world, but it also, I think, just comes down to the people themselves and who we are, because they're definitely can be competition, but to me, it's a waste of time. You're wasting your energy. You could use that energy on something positive instead. And the main thing you need to know is like, if it's not your role, it's not your role.
Yes.
Yeah.
You might have done the best audition you've ever done in your entire life, but if you're not right for it, you're not right for it, and someone else is.
It's whatever serves the project.
That is so true, because I can't tell you how many auditions that I've walked away from and said, yes, I booked it. And then I never hear from them. And you have to let that go, and you have to put something else into a new energy and new positivity into every audition.
And what's really awesome about this is we were able to sit at lunch the very first time, which was right up the street at Hugo's. I drove by it on the way in here, and I was like, oh,
Our spot.
yeah. But we all sat there comparing notes. Well, what do you do? Where do you put it? And we all do it differently.
Yeah.
Which is really interesting.
Well,
And
I think
talking
that's
about
been proven here. Yeah, it's really cool.
But talking about serving the project as opposed to, like serving the character within that project for
Right.
that group of people that are making that thing.
Yeah.
There are times when Julie's perfect. There are times when Rachel, whom we haven't met yet, is
Yeah.
perfect. There are times when you'll be the perfect Leia, for
Yeah,
example.
we've
right.
heard you're pretty good at
Old
it.
Lady
It's
Leia.
coming. Sorry,
Old
I didn't mean to
English
break
Lady
your
Leia.
NDA, and
I don't think so.
all of them are right.
Yeah.
And that's the most exciting thing, that I can't do what Julie does. I can't do what Kat does. Can't do what
Yeah.
Shelby does. Can't do what Anna does, because I'm not them.
Right.
And I get so excited for them when it's, when it's one of them. It's like, yes, because you want it to be a good person and not,
Yeah.
for a legacy character.
Yeah.
Especially something like this. I want it to be someone like Julie or Kat or Shelby or Anna, because if
Or
it ends
Misty.
up, well, whatever. But I'm thrilled that I got to do what I did. But you want it to be somebody great who actually embodies the character in real life.
And
And
loves the
every one of
character,
these
yeah.
women does. They inspire me every single time. We support each other. We go to each other's shows.
We go to each other's plays and
Yeah.
magic.
Yeah, they come to the
shows
Magic
and,
Castle to watch me
yeah.
perform. I mean, they're just incredible
That's
women.
right, because you do magic.
I do.
Yeah.
She's
Yes,
so
she
amazing.
Is
And
amazing.
they came and did a Leia trick.
She created an illusion just
for you.
us.
Yes.
And had us at the Magic Castle last
It
week.
was
That is
amazing.
great. Now, is that going to be online anywhere?
Yes, it will be on unicornwednesday.com, which is
Okay.
I
what
can't
the
say
show is
anything.
called.
I signed an NDA.
Same.
Ah.
You're allowed to say it if I say you can. You can.
I'll repeat after Misty then.
But, so now, like, the 501st is a charity, like a fundraising thing and stuff, but, like, the Ladies of Leia could have some type of, organization here as well. Where you
We're starting to do that. We're actually
Okay.
making an appearance for Carrie's birthday on the weekend of her birthday. October 20th, we'll be at the Perky Nerd. I don't know when this will air, so might be old
Yes,
news. Sorry.
the Perky Nerd. When is that going to be? October
20th.
20th. This will probably be out before that.
Oh, cool.
Depends on how quickly the force is strong with me. I'll edit it soon.
The editing bay is strong with you.
Yes.
Yeah, but we're all, because it is very important to us to empower young women and show them you can be on the same team.
That I think is really the coolest part about it,
Yeah.
because again, it's like you're all doing the same job. That's a competitive work is competitive, all that, but you're all friends. You all love all of this, and you all have a love for Star Wars and acting and
And
all
now
that.
each other.
Yeah.
Yes.
I wonder if it is, the Star Wars connection to some extent, because working on Clone Wars, and Anna, you as well. I mean, we became friends, and it's a group of people that are just really good people.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure how often you would get 5 actresses who had played the same character together and have them get along like this.
Well, it's like me and you, McGregor. You can't have us in the same room. That guy, man.
I've heard
Always.
horror stories.
Also, you and Batman, from what I hear. That's a big problem.
That's right. Yes. Now, with all of this in mind, where can everybody find you all individually?
Oh, well, on Instagram, I'm Gravy Pick, and Twitter, Gravy Voice.
Okay.
Misty.
I am Magical Misty Lee on Instagram and Misty_Lee on Twitter, and online at mistylee.com.
And then I'm on Twitter at Shelby_Young, and on Instagram at Shelby H. Young, and then Shelby-Young.com.
Wow.
Yeah. So many dashes and underscores. My name was taken.
Somebody already had Catherine Tabor. So
Really?
I'm
What?
so I'm at Cat Tabor, which is fine because
Yeah.
most of you guys call me that anyway.
Yeah.
Even though officially I'm Catherine. So
right.
at Cat Tabor, at Twitter and Instagram.
Okay.
Okay. In Instagram, Julie M. Dolan. Twitter, just call me Leia. Websites, www.juliedolan.com or www.juliedolanvo.com. And you can find out about my rock and roll bands, because I'm a musician. I play keyboards in a bunch of rock bands.
Well, and so let's start with you then, and we'll go back down. What are the other things then that people would know you from or hear you from, or want to hear you from?
Well, I
then?
do
So
on
music.
camera, TV and film. I just did
Right.
a movie called kind of a horror film, but it's got comedy in it called Chompy and the Girls. I have no idea.
I think
how
it would
it's
have
going
to have comedy with that name. But
Yeah. So we'll see what happens with that. I also booked a job called Tiger Within, working with Ed Asner. Oh my God. I had a scene with Ed. We get to the set. They never got to my scene, so they wrote it out.
Oh, no.
But they still included me in, the cast party and all that. But I just really wanted to work with him, but we never got to the
He's a
scene.
kick. Yeah, he's.
Yeah, he was.
I've worked with him on many cartoons, and he is. He's an interesting old kind of guy. You got spunk. He would have said that to you. Okay, so
and then I play piano. I started piano at 9, learning classical.
So you play and sing.
Beethoven, and then I turned to Beatles. So now I'm in cover bands, like a cover band to In Excess, a cover band to Bon Jovi, or
Really?
a tribute band.
Yeah.
And then
this
cover
is
band.
right up my wheelhouse because I was a DJ in the 80s. So I was playing all of these songs.
Oh.
Yes, that's my jam.
Yeah.
All right.
And that's probably why you can voice match so well, because you sing and you're so musical. Because
Yeah,
it is kind of
music
singing
is-
back the music.
Definitely.
Yeah, maybe it is. Yeah.
It's all in the air. Yeah. So, Catherine,
I am not musical, but I can play the tambourine.
you can.
Music.
So
Josie
nobody
and
wants
Pussycat.
the
I can do
tambourine.
triangle.
No.
Nobody
That's
wants
about
the
it.
tambourine, but I can play it. If you do, we could have like a weird band. We could have a weird hipster band.
Yeah. The percussives.
We could do that. 1970s throwback to Spank a King.
I love
and
it.
Get some tambourine in
for
there.
cowbell,
We're coming up
too.
with
Down
all
with
kinds
that.
of ideas
You
here.
can do cowbell.
I have a bad feeling about this.
So do I.
Right now, I have the Loud House on Nickelodeon, which we're about
Yeah.
to do season 4, which is exciting.
And you play on that.
I play
Lori.
Lori Loud, yes. And the good news about the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
I'm always like, what can I say? I can't remember what
It's a
I can
very
say.
tricky thing, yeah.
And then I have a feature film, an indie that I did that's going to be coming out this fall called Haven's End.
Yeah.
That I'm
I've
really
seen
excited
pieces
about.
of that.
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah, because
they're
it's
cool.
actually it's up my actual alley as far as what I like, which is like thriller,
Yeah.
horror,
then-
sci-fi.
Another thing I can say is I wrote a movie
Oh yes,
that
yes,
you're going to star in.
yes,
And we'll be trying to start production on that soon.
yes. Hopefully this fall. So this fall,
Congrats,
this fall's
that's
kind
awesome.
of this
Yeah.
fall's big. I'm grateful.
That's right. Yes. So, Shelby.
So pretty much everything that I've done recently, I cannot talk about
Right.
yet, as I'm sure everybody here understands.
Yes.
I do have a web series that I'm going to be filming at the beginning of next year called EXP, and it's a choose your own adventure style web
How
series, which is
cool.
really cool.
I've been saying forever that people should be doing that. more.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's this company that they've put out a few of them now, but it's a really interesting platform because it's very seamless and where there's no pauses while you choose. Like the scene is still
Okay.
happening,
Oh,
but it
wow.
counts down as it's happening that you have to choose or it'll choose for you. So it's really cool. But yeah, I have some really cool stuff coming out I can't talk about yet. But the thing most people besides Forces of Destiny know me from is American Horror Story.
Yes.
So yeah, I do a lot of on camera as well.
spooky
Yeah,
stuff.
spooky, scary stuff.
So I've got a lot of magic stuff coming up. We're actually doing NBC First Look is coming to tape a segment on us on this Tuesday, which will be airing probably around the same time this does, which is super exciting. Unicorn Wednesday is a weekly thing. You can watch magic shows on unicornwednesday.com or find us on Facebook. And as far as voiceover stuff, I know that they just released footage of a video game that I have coming out where I played a bird named Envy and I'm fighting a woman named Fury. And she sounds like this. So,
Oh my
yeah,
God.
it's really interesting. Yeah, and then you and I have an animated
We have a
series that'll
show,
be
yeah.
dropping next year that we can't say a word about.
No,
And
but you are amazing and you're many characters in it and you crack me up every time.
likewise,
Yeah.
you
No.
are incredible.
Ah,
Well, I
come
sit
on.
there and watch them.
Aren't we wonderful? No, honestly, it's great. Yeah, I can't wait till
you.
we can talk about it.
I'm really stoked about that one. She's just on top of it. Yeah, that's all I'm going to say about that. So lots of good things coming, and thank you for watching.
Can you do my outgoing message in that voice just so everybody will be really scared?
This is Anna.
I would
Leave
love that.
a message.
I would love that. James, I don't know. What am I doing? High Street Broadcast is a show that I've done for years as a passion project. So if you guys want to check out HSB Audio,
What is it?
So it's like retro vintage style radio shows, but with
Yes.
a modern twist.
Yeah.
So we do sketches, we do original songs, we do serials. So I'm so excited because we took a long hiatus and now we're back together. And so we did a show last month and we're doing another show in September in about a week and then one in October. And we'll see if more comes after that. But right now I'm in like Barbara Stanwyck mode because I'm doing a Western next week. So she's sort of like a kick-ass wrestler, cow rancher lady. Yeah, so for voiceover, I just had the opportunity of being Leif's daughter in season 7 of Voltron. I love Voltron. It's one of my favorite shows to watch, and I made my kids start watching it with me.
And I bet a lot of people wouldn't know that was you doing that character, because it's very different from the Duchess. And,
of course, yeah. And then, she's very direct, and she tells you the facts, exactly what's happening, and she's very intelligent and doesn't, a lot of fans have been so beautiful in reaching out and saying, hey, is she autistic? And that was not the word that was used when we were in the recording studio, but yeah, I mean, that's how I am playing Leif's daughter. She is very direct and smart, and
but a neat character and kind of interesting I think that's very cool that they're doing that, because I think many of the fans that are relating to that show too are within that spectrum too, and so it's important for them to have a character representing them. So I think it's so really
important. Cool. So I'm really honored that was my character that I was picked to do, and that's who we're reaching. So I'm really happy about that. And then there's another video game I'm doing pickups for this week called Metro Exodus. So it's sort of a really scary, it's based on a novel, and it's I'm reprising my role from Metro last night. So Anna, she's a Russian woman who lives in the metro after a nuclear blast goes off, and she has to survive underground. Wow. So I've spent many months with Anna, and I'm excited about that game.
Anna, not Anna.
Anna, not Anna. Wow. No, not very much.
Go ahead.
Oh, I just forgot that I just finished a job that I couldn't talk about before, but now I can.
Now you can.
It's a video game, and I don't do a lot of video games.
You will.
But I had to replace somebody's voice. Oh. And it was another voice match thing, and I just happened to sound exactly like her. And it's a video game called Arena of Valor, and I'd never heard of it before.
It's a big one.
And it said it's the most downloaded mobile app in the world.
Wow!
And they're just they're pairing with Nintendo Switch, which I didn't even know.
I love the Switch.
I didn't even know what that was. So I'm the systems voice that tells everybody what to do and guides you and yells at you. So I've been in there 3 times so far, and who knows if I'll go? Who knows what's going to happen?
Sure.
But they said, yeah, you can talk about it now because it's out there. So
that's always
Awesome.
Very cool. Well, I feel like we could go on and on and on. There's so many things about it. But I want to thank each and every one of you for joining me here. And, how about if we ended it with that line, help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi, you're my only hope, all together, because I am your only hope. So,
including you.
Really, actually, it's just because I want to hear you all say it.
Oh, James.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So
but you have to say it with
help me,
us.
Obi-Wan Kenobi, you're my only hope. You want me to say it too?
I think you should.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't.
I think it's your responsibility as the host to make us feel welcome.
All right, ready? And 1, 2, 3.
Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're my only hope.
My gosh, I got chills because I heard Princess Leia. That was like surround sound Leia. It was really cool. All right, everybody, make sure you follow all of these lovely ladies, and make sure that you comment and thumbs up and subscribe to the channel, and subscribe to all their stuff. And may the Force be with you always.
I don't know what camera.
Look at that one. Look at that one right there.
Bye.
Well, I hope you've enjoyed this time with the lovely Ladies of Leia. I know I certainly have. And I also hope you take some time, as I had mentioned there, to subscribe to the JAT Channel. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Please check it out. I've got some great stuff if you're Star Wars fans. A show called Clone Wars Conversations, where I talk to my Clone Wars castmates and such, as well as many other videos and things, from inspirational things to just plain old stuff about voiceover and fun. So check it out. But also, please take some time to go through, look back, and pause if you need to, and go and put all of their social media addresses in and follow all of them. So important that we all support each other here. So please follow all the lovely Ladies of Leia. And also, so now, since, as I talked about in the interview, I had wonderful opportunities to sit down with Carrie Fisher herself. And since this is really our tribute to Carrie Fisher and Princess Leia and Star Wars, I thought I'd be remiss if I did not end here with some of my favorite moments on stage with Carrie Fisher throughout the years. Enjoy, and of course, may the Force be with you.
I'm good. I just brought, that was my dog Gary that before this weekend he'd never seen the ocean, sand, or a huge audience of Star Wars fans. So I wanted, those are really three things everyone should experience, yes? So
Now, what's Gary got there? Vodka?
he's had too much to drink already, but
It's an early morning for him.
I had done one movie which was an accident, which was Shampoo, and I became Lee Grant's daughter.
Yeah, in the movie,
That
yeah.
sleeps with
Warren Beatty. Warren Beatty, boy, yeah.
underage, everything.
That's,
So there was a bad word said, and my mother, can I say a bad word, you guys?
well,
I was supposed
okay.
Well, around here, the F word is for force,
That's
okay?
right. So maybe we should, we can replace it anytime now. So anytime you feel the need, just say force. That's right. Okay? Okay, good. How long was it before it became...
I want to force you. You can't force me.
You can't force her to do anything. That's not right. Stop it.
Well, it would be, yeah.
The force is not consent.
That forcer said the F word to me.
Yeah. See what happens?
You know, it's that question also that everybody always asks you, and I love your response to that about, did you know it was going to be such a hit?
Well, I just like to say yes. I knew that it was going to be, I was the only one that knew. I am psychic. I know what most of you are going to have for breakfast tomorrow, so just don't ask me. No, yeah, nothing had been that kind of a hit. So, and none of us would have had anything to compare it to. It was just, they booked us to do all this publicity, and then it ended up not really needing it.
Right.
But I used to drive around, or have a friend of mine drive around and look at the lines. I mean, they made up the term blockbuster for that because it meant that the lines busted the block.
Is that right? That's where it came from.
You know what I mean? So I used to drive around, and I think one time it was so amazing that I think I may have, and please don't tell anyone, said, "I'm Princess Leia." To these lines of people, it was amazing.
And they're like, yeah, right, whatever.
Sure. Why would you act like such an idiot? It was the first scene we shot was, Governor Tarkin, I thought I recognized your foul stench when I arrived on board. Now, how do you say that and not say it with a British accent? Well, I guess I don't know. But I sort of wanted to come in and go, Governor Tarkin, I came on board the ship and I thought, what is that smell? And then, of course, it's you, naturally. But George said to me, no, you're really, really serious. You're very, very upset. So they've blown up all your friends and your clothes and your stepfather and every collections of troll dolls. So you're very upset. And so I had to say that I thought I recognized your foul stench when I arrived on board. So, but then I should talk. I had that hairstyle, and it took them 2 hours to do that hairstyle. I'd come in at 5 in the morning before anyone.
Oh, man.
And they would take I would fall asleep in the chair,
Was
and
it
I'd
a
say
braid?
I'd go to sleep plain, and I'd wake up pretty.
Wow.
Pretty weird.
Pretty weird, huh?
No, but it was, I had this Pat McQueen, she would do my hair for 2 hours.
And you could sleep through it, though.
Well, after a while, you
Yeah.
get used to it.
Yeah, and you wake up with, little mustaches on
But
you
then
and everything.
later on, I did, what was it called, Saturday Night Live, and
Yes.
I was playing Princess Leia for
Yes.
weird. They clunked a hairpiece on it, looked exactly the same. And I was upset.
Yeah. Well, television has a much bigger budget than those movies. Have you seen my shoes, Carrie? Do you see my shoes? These were designed by an artist by the name of Joe Hogan, and they are Princess Leia shoes. They're one of a kind.
Did you buy them?
No, these were made just for me, but I'm wondering, as the host, Both. Hey, Carrie. Thank you. Thank you so much. Oh, no. Oh.
And I didn't realize till like far too much later, and that's really good English, that I was sort of a pinup. But I had a guy say to me, oh my God, I thought about you every day from when I was 12 to when I was 22. And I said, every day? And he said, well, 4 times a day.
Oh.
But what am I supposed to say? Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
That is so sweet.
It's just, we were backstage and I couldn't think of anything else to say to you though, so that's why awkward. I mean, I'm meeting you for the first time and what am I gonna say? It's the truth. So
You just wear those gloves that Peter Cushing had, and that would make all the difference.
My dear, oh my dear.
I thought I recognized your foul stench when I left on board.
Oh. Everybody's been taking photos all night and taking these pictures, but it's pretty much just you and I, talking and then, so we have a little something that we call, go ahead and run that.
It's a Celebration 6 phony photo memory.
It's a phony photo memory. So everybody get your cameras ready. And is there something that you would like to do with me as the host that's a little different, something you've never really got to do before with a kind of a freeze frame thing here? And you can
I want to spank you.
You want to spank me? Oh, on the whole thing. Okay.